Do, 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 do. Ba-da-ba-da-dee-dee-dee.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Hey, you gumpers! Munson here with Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. How are you today? It's the Sustainability Squad here from around 9 o'clock this morning. Head Gardener Lee McGrady. For those of you who missed Get Out and Grow, the show, the gardening show that we used to do on a Monday afternoon. Lee's going to be in having a coffee and a cigarette, I suspect. Sat in a cafe or outside a cafe probably in this weather. Wasn't it a great day yesterday? And chatting to us about the wonderful spring-like vibes that we're experiencing here in Portugal. And, of course, João Oliveira and our mates Jason Hall, João and Jason talking to us from central Portugal. And an update from Quinta Essencial, where the shop has been built, hasn't it now, I think? The lads, some of the Man Cave lads were over there building the shop for Jason outside his property, selling some of his produce outside his land there. This will be the third visit in a row to Quinta Essencial, where we're learning about how Jason's growing food, and maybe you'll get inspired yourself to grow a bit of grub as well with the rising food prices. Isn't it a good time to consider growing some of your own food, even if you do only have a balcony, as we used to discuss on a Monday afternoon? You don't need a massive amount of space to grow a little bit of food and connect with nature in that way. So how are you doing this morning? Matty, you are so German, my friend, if you don't mind me making a racial stereotype this morning. You know we start at 8:31, or maybe you don't. But it's a little bit difficult for you to be here at 8:30 when we're meant, in your mind, we're meant to be starting. Says Matty. It has been 8:30 here in Fundao. Carl in a different time zone. Yes, I am. I'm in the Gumper time zone. Good morning to you, Matty. Great to have you here. And good luck. Oh, to João de Norte, of course. Look, hola, bon dia. Look at this. I'm looking forward already to playing you the Parabéns jingle. We are literally off to our CEF appointment in 10 minutes. That was at 8:31. Show start time, Matty. 10 minutes then, meeting Philippa from EI at 8:45, an appointment at 9 o'clock. So wishing you all the very best. Por sorte, you should be fine, John and Pam. But enjoy yourselves, and perhaps we'll find out all about it tonight on the Portugal Club meeting. Now, the GMP VIPs, if you check it out at gmpvip.com, the GMP VIPs are invited tonight to the Portugal Club session, the weekly meetup of a select few. The VIP VIPs, it's not like that. It's just a different kind of service. It's an extra level of service and connection. So every Tuesday evening at 10 o'clock, we have a gathering of GMP VIPs who want to meet up and assess their progress, celebrate any milestones, and John may well be able to do that tonight, and we can bring a little bit of Portuguese vino along tonight. So if you're a Portuguese VIP over on the private platform there, feel free to join us as a guest tonight from 10:30. A good time for people in other parts of the world. A little bit late here in Portugal, but then again, some Portuguese people are only just getting started at 10:30 in the evening. So it's, be Portuguese about it. Instead of like, oh no, I'm in bed by then. I'm fast as I've been in bed for 5 hours by 10:30. Why not push the boat out and live dangerously tonight? GMP VIP is very welcome to the call, the weekly call, the face-to-face, online, of course. We're not meeting up in Lisbon or anything like that, but the online call. I'm gonna have a little bit of a tour around the. Don't get your VIPs mixed up. Yeah, I know. I've got, I'm a bit. I've got misgivings about some of this stuff, Owen, as I'm sure you're aware. I don't really like all this, psychological pricing thing, trade up, fear of missing out. I don't really like to do that. I just want people to get the service they need. So basically, if you want a less noisy environment in which to discuss your plans to move to Portugal, the GMP VIP platform is a great place to do that. And if you want a weekly meeting as well, then trade up to the Portugal Club, where you have a weekly online meeting, Zoom style as well. And some people have found that in the time that I've been working with people over the last 2 to 3 years, coming to Portugal, that intensity, remember all of that? Brought about really accelerated by the pandemic and the lockdown. The weekly meetup has been really useful for people. And I did hear an expression yesterday, somebody saying, we've got to that stage where it feels like pushing a piece of string uphill in our process of getting to Portugal. So if you're a long way away, i.e. in North America, for example, and you have plans to move to Portugal, the weekly meetup, the online meetup is really useful. And it has helped people get information that they sometimes didn't know they needed, sharing information with others, getting support from others, and making friends actually with people before you get to Portugal. It's been amazing, the power of the meetup and the network and community that has been created over the last 3 years. Why not have the VIP show at 5 a.m.? I used to, funnily enough, in the early days of the meetings, not the shows, but the meetings. I used to do a 6 a.m. meeting for people in the Far East in Australia. Yes, Michelle, remember Michelle? She used to join me for that. And Martin, of course, and people in the Middle East used to like that one as well. So we did 6 a.m., not 5 a.m. Okay, so hi, Carl. Can you please ask the team what happened to NWL Aguas Mill and the potential implication for droughts this year? What can we be doing now to mitigate the effects? All right, I'm going to star that up. Yes, we haven't had much of that April rain. I think one lot of showers I think I've experienced, but not a lot already. Past halfway through into April. That's an interesting question, Louise. Good morning to you and to the extended family there, Paul, Louise, and Lottie, and your dad. Give my best regards to your dad as well, a keen viewer of the gardening show as well. Some interesting news items this morning, and I'll go to those, including, can you believe it? There is a story in the Portugal news about a car that has been parked in the same place for 7 years. And I was thinking, okay, well, I'll read that. There must be some sort of denouement, is that the right word? A plot twist or a punchline at least. No, it's just a story about a car that has been parked in the same place for 7 years, as far as I can make out. So we'll go to the Portugal news and we'll go to the Portugal resident and see what's going on over there. Before we welcome Head Gardener Lee McGrady back into his place on the screen here in the Good Morning Portugal community. And also João Oliveira, Central Portugal of Mushmore, and Jason, of course, Jason Hall of Quinta Essencial. Looking forward to seeing what got built by the team. Were you there, Matty? Were you building the shop? How did it go? This is the first comment that always comes up here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Click on the comment to show it on screen. Yeah. Bon dia to you, Coach Turner. I've been talking to Mrs. M this morning about high-intensity training and fartlek. Funnily enough, she's found it through another YouTuber, a lady who recommends what you've been recommending for a long time here, and a bit of rebounding. I think she was attracted by the rebounding, and who doesn't like a bit of rebounding first thing in the morning? And of course, I've worked up that that fresh gas vibe. Not that this is anything to do with you, Coach Turner, but this is still making me giggle. This product has been recently, I don't know if it's been recently released. It's new to me. It's out now. Mercadona, the Good Morning Portugal possible new sponsor. Who doesn't like a bit of fresh gas first thing in the morning? Could be the strapline for that, couldn't it? That's the name of a drink, folks, at Mercadona. Fresh gas. Anyway, let's get back to some fartlek. Funnily enough, see what I did there? I didn't even see what I was doing there. Bon dia a todos. I hope you're all doing well and looking forward to another great day. A mild day forecast here in Blighty. So a walk this morning for coffee, then training and coaching this afternoon. Must be Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesdays on Good Morning Portugal, of course. In the evening, we have Hello America, This is Portugal. It'll be part 3 of our cost of living special. We didn't get around to motoring. So we'll do motoring and miscellaneous tonight and maybe talk a little bit more about health insurance, which really wowed people last week. And then, of course, that Portugal Club meeting that GMP VIPs are invited to from 10:30. So that's how it's shaping up. Oh, and tomorrow I'll be on location. Top left of my screen, Head Gardener, I will be broadcasting live from there. There's a big media event happening. I think Portuguese TV are going to be at Head Gardener tomorrow. I'll be there before them, talking to our pal Bobby tomorrow morning. Going to go drive down there early and set up and do an OB outside broadcast from the wonderful site that is Head Gardener that has the wonderful development that's being created there. It is Sustainability Tuesday here on the Good Morning Portugal show. And the Head Gardener development is all about a sustainable way of building houses. You have your own independent electricity generation there, and leaning into the sustainability department without getting onto a snooker table and throwing orange dust everywhere. Wow, wasn't that amazing? And I also have to clean out a couple of blocked down pipes that are full of leaves. Living the dream in Hertfordshire, the penalty for living opposite some beautiful old oak trees. Yes, connecting with nature with his hand up a down pipe later on today. So the God Squad tip of the day then. Is this the right button? Oh, yeah. I mentioned Bud Winter yesterday, who influenced many of today's top coaches, including Dan Pfaff. That would be Greg Rutherford and Glenn Mills, Usain Bolt's trainer there. Thank you very much. Another influential man is Steve Peters. Dr. Steve Peters, no less, is perhaps best known for his work with British cycling, helping them to unprecedented success at the London Olympics in 2012. So he is the writer of, I've heard of the Chimp Paradox. I didn't realize he was the coach of the British cycling team for London Olympics 2012. And isn't it amazing to have success when the Olympics come to your country? Which is what he must have done there. Is he a Brit? I wonder. Steve Peters, author of The Chimp Paradox, describes his thinking. Thank you, Coach Turner, there for mention of those folks. I guess if you look up Dan Pfaff, Glenn Mills, Steve Peters, or Bud Winter, you will get some really good insight into how the human mind works and motivation and that sort of thing. One of the four wise men is missing this morning. Deagle, where are you? James was in early doors and said, Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz terça todos. Quem tem feito? How you doing? Good here, contigo. Muito bem, obrigado. A professional psychologist who has worked in hospitals and taught widely. He is also the UK's most successful masters athlete. That is, we're talking about Steve Peters still. The Chimp Paradox explains how we're all driven by our inner chimp. Aren't we just? It's really our fight or flight reaction, and it holds us back from achieving our full potential. Think about that the next time you feel the red mist coming down. Perhaps you should read the book. The Chimp Paradox, there you go. The red mist, or any sort of distraction, I suppose, characterized, I suppose, in the old days by a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, and a conscience, you could call it, couldn't you? And, the lesser parts of ourselves and others influencing our behavior. I must trim my tash. I'm getting a lot of nasal itching this morning. You didn't need to know that, though. When I express it like that, nasal itching, it doesn't really sound very nice, does it? But just a bit tickly on the hooter. Who doesn't like their hooter tickled first thing in the morning? Sorry about that. Perhaps you should read the book. I'm not sure if he's talking to me or all of us there, but yeah, my inner chimp is busy for quite a lot of the time. I may have to yank a nasal hair this morning, but that's too much information now, isn't it? Bon dia, Gumpers from T-Duck at 8 o'clock this morning and reporting another beautiful day in paradise. Should we be looking at the weather, I wonder? Maybe we should, and seeing if there's any of that rain forecast that Louise was talking about. Deep thought then, an unexciting truth may be eclipsed by a thrilling falsehood, Aldous Huxley, which leads us nicely, does it not, into the Iberian FM topic of the day. How can we make how can we make accountants political? No, how can we make politicians accountable? Is the subject today. And I've got a new theme tune at 10 o'clock for the Iberian FM phone-in. But today's subject, or not but, it's an and. Wherever it's possible to do so, I like to use an and instead of a but. Here we go. Iberian FM phone-in, 10 o'clock in Portugal, 11 in Spain, and wherever else around the world, people can tune in and call in. 913-590-303 to talk about some of those pithy things. Actually, let me just play you the new theme tune now to give the idea of the development of Iberian FM. So an exciting truth then may be eclipsed by a thrilling falsehood. That is such a deep thought of our times, isn't it? And if you're getting bugged, if you're getting your panties in a bunch about thrilling falsehoods, and how awful it is that they are sometimes oftentimes eclipsing unexciting truths. If you want to share your unexciting truth, you can do so in about, an hour and 15 minutes here. Yeah, so what's getting your panties in a bunch, your knickers in a twist? What's grinding your gears? Or what unexciting truth would you like to share at 10 o'clock this morning? We'll hang out and have a chat, open-minded, open-hearted, and the sort of things, we'll discuss the sort of things you might not necessarily see in the mainstream narrative. You know what I'm talking about, the news coverage. Okay, quem sabia? Portugal has a rich art history. All liking this already. The first well-known painters dating back to the 15th century, like Nuno Gonçalves and Vasco Fernandes, were part of the late Gothic painting period during the Renaissance. Do you say Renaissance or Renaissance? Do you say Himalayas or Himalayas? Portuguese painting was highly influenced by Northern European painting. In the Baroque period, Josefa Dobidos, and I love it when someone's named after a place like that. And Vieira Lusitano, that's a fine name too, isn't it? With the most prolific painters. And of course, José Malloa, the man who has a gallery named after him in the Dom Carlos Park. We showed a picture, didn't we, of a black swan and a white swan from Dom Carlos Park, where I was at the weekend with the ducks. He has a gallery named after him. It's currently being renovated. Great gallery. And there's a lovely statue of him in the park there, known for his work Fado and the Colombano Bordalo Pinheiro, of course, well known in Caldas de Rainha, who painted the portraits of Teofilia Braga and Antero de Quintal. Bordalo Pinheiro, known for his creation of the Zé Povinho character, the everyman, the John Bull, the John, what's he called in American? John Doe character, the everyman, were both references in naturalist painting. Zé Malloa, I think, both Caldas characters, Zé Malloa and Colombano Bordalo Pinheiro. I didn't know about the Colombano part of it. And known for his work Fado. What is that, a type of art as well as music then for Zé Malloa? And of course, if you wander the lanes of Caldas de Rainha, and many do, up from the Praça da Fruta, you can have your photo taken with a lovely bronze statue of Zé Povinho with his creator, Bordalo Pinheiro. And a lot of people think it's Mark Twain. Looks a lot like Mark Twain, actually, or some depictions thereof sat on a bench in the lanes of Caldas de Rainha. Excellent job this morning. Thank you for that, Quem Sabia, there, T-Duck. Marvellous. And we'll squirrel away your dad jokes, and let's have a quick look at the papers, because we're running out of Gumper gathering time here. Only just 10 minutes to go before we welcome the sustainability squad on this Sustainable Portugal Tuesday, where you can be inspired to grow a bit of your own food. Bom dia, criaturas de Pombal com muito sol. You see that? He has changed that thanks to the coaching from Filomena on Friday.
Filomena Friday.
Bom dia, tea in bed by Randy, then rotating the wheels on the daughter's car. living the dream. Oh, you're moving. Yeah, I had 2 new tires. A problem, a challenge that got lost in translation. I thought I was only getting 1 tire, and I was ready to pay about 70 euros or something for a nice new good quality tire. Bill came in 173 euros, 2 tires it turns out, and they've all been swapped around, and he's topped up the oil and he's put some antifreeze in. Antifreeze in Portugal. I never thought I'd hear that or experience that. But yeah, you're swapping your tires around, aren't you? I ripped mine up, of course, outside Nasa de Sol, and stripped up from the waist and changed that tire. You're swapping them around to get some good use out of all the tires. Nice one. Good work by Randy. Bit handy he is with the Swarfiga and his spanners. Morning to you. And yes, of course, that appointment that will be happening soon at Seth in Lisbon for John and Pam. Good luck with that. Yeah, good luck, says Matty. Hope all goes well, says Owen as well. And good morning, everyone, from Andy Klein. How are you, Andy? How's it going? Talking of GMP VIPs, Andy is creating a videography course using your mobile. That's going to be launched and developed on the GMP VIP platform. Go to gmpvip.com. Few places left. We're going to be charging 19 euros for that membership service, which is a concierge, community, all good stuff to help you get to Portugal and enjoy your life and feel supported while you're here in Portugal. But only 9 euros at the moment if you want to take advantage of the last few memberships at 9 euros monthly. Pop over to gmpvip.com and all the wonderful stuff that's in the classroom there, which will include Andy Klein's videography course on your mobile. Morning to you, Dougie. Morning to you, Louise, Paul, Louise, and Lottie. How you doing, Dougie? You're cutting the grass. I imagine Doug has a tie on and a blazer, or maybe a cravat when you're on your sit-on lawnmower there in Wales. I can see you. Picture, please. Don't get your VIPs mixed up. Yeah, I know. Bon dia. Could you please tell me the secret to your beautiful skin? Asking for a friend. Are you kidding me? Well, I don't know if you're being serious or not. I wouldn't describe myself as having beautiful skin. And when I hear a comment like that from a random Facebook user, I'm thinking to myself, what is coming next? Am I having to get ready with the block button? Don't often use it, but some people do share some frightful things, and I just have to get rid of them immediately. Other than that, if they're not being disgusting, outwardly and unnecessarily disgusting, we have a fairly high tolerance, don't we, for amusement and so on. Hi, Carl. Can you please ask the team? Yeah, I will ask that question for you, Louise, and any other gardening questions. And I'll also put this to them. I think Head Gardener McGrady will love this. Save water, drink beer. I'm thinking he'll be glad about that. In fact, he's the poster boy for that sentiment. I was there, but my help was not needed. I did bring some beers, though. Good lad. At the erection of the shop at Quinta Essencial. You know me much too well. Put the hand up the downpipe, and Marty's here. Hey, Marty, how you doing? Lovely to see you here when you pop in and see us. Where you been? How you doing? I've been up bright and early working on gardening tasks already. So I think the sustainability squad have brought a few people who don't ordinarily tune in on a regular basis. People coming in to see Lee, João, and Jason this morning. Matty said he was up at 5 this morning, as my brain was contemplating what needs to be done on my property and how to achieve it. There's someone who's inspired right there. Matty, I think you'll get inspiration today from the gardening guys. Bon dia todos. And also, yeah, I mean, a lot of other gardeners here who I'm sure will chip in as well. And that's how it is with gardening, isn't it? People very ready to share their knowledge in the gardening community. Oh, and we have a lovely picture from Owen. Look at that. That ground is prepared and ready, isn't it, for planting? Good job there, Owen. I think I'm going to have a little sip of water in just a moment. And a beautiful picture. This is a beauty, Owen. Thank you very much for a collared dove. I saw my first hoopoe, and I was thinking that bird seems to have a crest on its head. That's the light shining on the leaf behind it, isn't it? But that collared dove, I was going to say gathered. That's biblical, isn't it? The collared dove in a fig tree there, I've just noticed. Thank you for that. Yeah, saw my first hoopoe flying as it does in that unusual way across a field myself in the last couple of days. There you go, collared dove. And I imagine that in the next few days and months, Owen will what's the word I'm looking for? Snap, immortalize would be quite a good word, wouldn't it? Immortalize a hoopoe in your wonderful collection of photographs, including this beauty, collared dove, light shining beautifully on that dove there in a fig tree. I feel a song coming on. Okay, I feel a biblical reference coming on. Who doesn't like to get biblical first thing in the morning? Deagle might be en route to Portugal. Did he again already? Didn't he say something about his next trip to Portugal? Or he might be entertaining President Biden if he's still in Ireland. Hola, bon dia, alegria from Mark. See, another person I think who's been brought to the yard, as it were, or to the garden in this case, by the gardening guys this morning. How you doing, Mark? Always good to hear from you. Any updates from your Quinta? Any new blog posts? Any new videos? Let us know all about them, okay? This is a shop window for all that is good and great going on in Portugal, okay? So anything useful to share that helps people learn more about Portugal, love their life here in Portugal, share it with me, please. Reptile brain strikes again. That is the chimp, the inner chimp there. Carl, try to yank a nasal hair without watering your eyes. Now, I don't know if I've hashtag nasal challenge. Is anyone else trying this at home this morning? Oh, I still haven't got to the blooming news, have I? That I wanted to get to. There are some interesting. Maybe I need to get back to these on the Iberian FM then. And I did promise you the car parked in the same place in Esmorish for the past 7 years. Let me do this really quickly. And I did say weather as well, didn't I? We'll talk about weather when the gardening guys are here, because that could be quite useful, couldn't it? We have got for you very quickly then GNR squad car, always interesting. Hashtag nasal challenge has got nothing to do with that this morning. We'll have to return to that. I do use that. I have used that in the past as a way of staying awake whilst driving long distances. Have I shared that with you before? Recommend it. What's good about your morning? Backdrop now on the screen. But look at this. In the Portugal news, a Ford Focus, is that useful to the story? I wonder. It gives you a bit of context. Has been parked in the same place in Esmorish for the past 7 years. Isn't it reassuring that this is the news in Portugal? According to a report by NM, don't know who that is. Noticias ao Minuto. The car has been parked at the Bombeiros Voluntários in Esmorish for about 7 years and has even been marked with an abandoned sign by a member of the public. It's a 2-paragraph story. There are no comments yet, but I'm imagining that this will elicit many great comments in the Portugal news. The paper contacted the GNR via email without success, while by telephone, the GNR confirmed that it is aware of the situation of the Ford Focus. However, the GNR of Esmorish made it clear that it informed the City Council of Avar about this occurrence and guaranteed that this is the entity responsible for removing the car. So there, GNR have got more important things to do than getting their knickers in a twist about a car that has been parked in the same place for 7 years. Can you improve on that? Have you had a car parked in your street for more than 7 years? You might be open to some compensation. No, that's a different thing, isn't it? Capricorn Chris is here. What? Hola, bon dia todos. Theme tune of the day. It's been a while. Love Won't Let Me Wait by Bobby Caldwell. He's better known, isn't he, for that other tune of his? And we lost him recently, didn't we, in the last few months? Boom! What a classic tune. Yes, I'm glad you're back with the tunes. Bring them on. Do share them, Chris, please. And I can't wait to spin a few good ones with you in the Portuguese sunshine one day. Talking of getting together, as we do sometimes, we've got the meetup tomorrow, of course, and I hope to be back in time for that. Won't be there at the beginning, but I will be back, hopefully by the end of it, with my in-laws, who I'm picking up from the airport tomorrow as well. And meeting with the wonderful Big Phil Cookland today. And Lady K. So looking forward to meeting you later on today. Folks, I think you've had a nice night in Nazaré. Making your politicians accountable. No, I'm not even going to read that bit, because that is the sort of thing we do not say or do or suggest here. I know you're joking, but I think we have to be really careful with that sort of talk, especially with the climate we have in the world at the moment. Antonio F., you as well, stop it, you lot, with all of this violent talk. Fado by José Malor is a painting. I just sent you an image from Wikipedia. Oh, my word. You will have seen this. And this is a situation perhaps we might have all found ourselves in from time to time. Thank you. I thought that was from James. Looking at the picture, I'm thinking immediately that's from James. It's one of a James-style sharing of an image, Star Trek-y as it is. But no, from T-Duck on this occasion. Let me just share with you then this beautiful image that has been sent through by Maloa. And I'm shocked at you lot with all your suggestions, your serving suggestions for politicians. I think the Portuguese way, the Portuguese, not the French way of dealing with the royalty, but the Portuguese way. Send them somewhere else where they're more welcome. Look at this. That is Fado by José Maloa. And I think I've been in similar. Sometimes me and Mrs. Emma like that of an evening after a busy day. I like to get out my ukulele, no euphemism intended there, and dress up a little bit, hat and tie. There she is, smoking a cigarette, and her clothes barely on. They look like they're really ready to come off, don't they? In our lid. I love the blue background. That's a beautiful color, isn't it, here in Portugal? Sometimes you'll see that on the outside of a building, that beautiful blue color, that azul there, and a lovely little cottage scene where that fellow is serenading his partner there, or his prospective partner. I wonder what is going on. What's the story there? But a lovely scene, and I think they may have had one or two vino tintos. Is there a shoe coming off? It gives you a sense of the direction of travel. And what's this? Gravity is the most fundamental force in the universe. What would happen if you took it away? It says on here, you'd have nothing left but gravy. You see, if you took it away, you'd have nothing left but gravy. That is definitely a slap on the forehead, isn't it? The gardeners are late. I'm not surprised by that. It's a different time scale in nature, isn't it? Or are they sending me messages about joining me on the screen? Oh, Jason did say he'd be a bit late, and João is joining me at 9:30, or joining us at 9:30. But let me just make sure they've got the right connections, the right links. I better send Lee his via WhatsApp, because that's what we prefer to use, I think, me and Lee. So many platforms, and now there's another one, GMP VIP. Goodness gracious, I was watching Peter Zahan talking about Facebook and TikTok last night. Oh my goodness, it's probably quite a good idea to have another platform, and we've got one. GMP VIPs can message each other, as I say, in a less noisy environment on the school platform. So we'll talk to João at 9:30, although he's here already. Okay, he's going to come back at 9:30. He's just checking his connection, I think. Hi, João. Good to see you, my friend. Always good to see your smiling face. I'll see you later on, buddy. And I can take that off the screen now, can't I? Look, I love that picture. There we go. Now I know, and now you know, Jose Maloa there. Let's go back to a few comments before we have Jason here. Eyes purple crying. What's that about? Well, oh, I see. Good morning. I have a tan line. Good for you, Darren. That didn't take long, did it? And did you say Bairandi is handy? I certainly did. He is the handy Bairandi, for sure. Not of old London town. Well, yeah, formerly not far from London. He's a Bournemouth boy, I think, in the UK. Get the barber to burn the nasal hair and ear hair off. Yes, that's a nice touch, isn't it? Leaves a strange aroma in the barbers, it has to be said, but that's a good shout there, Pete. Thank you. And to stay completely still for 7 years requires great focus. Oh, my word. Very good. Jason's with us. We'll give him a moment to compose himself, because I think he's been on the school run this morning. Got a bit of a rep at social gatherings for being handy by Randy. Has somebody got a new nickname? Have we got enough nicknames here? I'm not sure we do. Should we throw a few nicknames around this morning? We've got Handy by Randy then. We've got the Slug, of course. T-Duck. They're all nicknames, aren't they? Coach Turner. Yeah, I think we've got quite a few, but there's no harm in having a few more. João is Fige. Yeah, he is. It's true. And he'll be with us at 9:30. Oh, and have we got a picture of your tan line? Is it Mankini inspired, Darren, I wonder, or macrame crochet pants inspired, as I was sharing yesterday? Funny enough, people don't want to talk too much about my macrame crocheted pants that I have here. Did I show you them yesterday? I think they're reversible. They're handmade. They're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. They look really good and comfortable on. Let me see if I can find Darren's picture as well this morning. Is he into tanning? Who are we talking about now? I was only asking you because you have great skin and it's either Portugal or a great product you're using. I am still waiting for a punchline from Facebook user. Who are you? Dare you break your cover, your anonymity? And I wonder, are you moving towards a a punchline with your references to my beautiful skin? I don't even moisturize. I don't use a lot of soap either. Which some of you who've been close to me will know as well. Not a picture of the tan. What? Okay, so we got a picture from Darren in one of my many. Oh, that is a beauty. That is a beauty. We're going to download that attachment right now and show you just as we bring on Jason at Quinta Essencial. Wonder where Lee is. He's maybe finding a place to park. Lisbon might be quite busy at the moment. Just very quickly then, beautiful image. Thank you very much, Darren, for this. This is a treat to share with everybody. Name that river, name that bridge, name that city. That's quite the cruise there, isn't it? And lovely colour in that. A little bit of a filter there, a little bit of a Kodachrome filter possibly. Thank you, Darren. Thank you very much indeed. Nice big round of applause. And let's bring onto the screen that green-fingered fellow in central Portugal. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Carl. How are you?
I'm really good, really good. Always great to see you. I feel calmer when I see you and think about your life. That is my sort of stylized image of you, because I suspect you're not very relaxed at the moment. Are you? Lots going on the Quinta right now?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit going on. Trying to stay relaxed is definitely a part of it. And the less I think about my job list, the more relaxed I am.
Yes, I can understand that. Somebody else was saying that to me yesterday. Actually, they live in the countryside, and they had a visitor or some visitors coming to see them, and they were trying to tie them down to a time. And the visitors were saying, "Well, you know, you live in the countryside. We might come between Friday and Monday," imagining that country life is very relaxed and easygoing. It isn't like that, is it? Especially at this time of year.
I mean, this time of year is pretty much the busiest time of year for anybody who has a garden, I think.
Yeah.
We've compounded that by, just adding another 2 or 3 projects onto it. And
what are you thinking?
Well, it's we're spreading ourselves pretty thin at the moment, but we're thinking that the results of that, when they come, will hopefully pay dividends for the rest of the year. And so it's just a matter of gritting the teeth and getting on with it at the moment. I don't know if you can see, but
oh my goodness, are they injuries and the signs of great toil?
Well, I don't know about great toil. Maybe a reminder to wear gloves when you when you're working. But yeah.
Well, he always recommends that, doesn't he? Our man Lee, who's just arrived actually. So we'll bring him on as well. He's got a white shirt on. Is he going to a wedding? Let's give him a nice big round of applause as well. Head Gardener Lee McGrady. Good morning to you, Lee. You don't look as I was expecting this morning.
Pardon?
You're not looking like I was expecting. I thought you might be outside a cafe in Lisbon, cigarette and coffee on the go. You seem to be in a domesticated environment. You all right?
I'm about an hour late. Traffic's been shocking. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're a bit set back.
I've not even got a tool in the van yet. It's ridiculous.
Well, thank you for fitting us in, both of you. Given that we were talking about how busy you are at this time of year, really appreciate you fitting us in. If you can stay for 30 minutes or so, that'd be great. If you can stay longer, even better. We were just talking to Jason there, Lee, about the importance of wearing gloves. That was always a tip you gave when we were talking about vital gardening equipment. Show us your hands again, Jason. Look at that, Lee.
Yeah, that time of year.
It's that time of year. Yeah. So
it's a little bit owie.
Give us an idea then of the scale of what's going on, if you will, Jason.
Well, my hands were the result of yesterday going and doing some wood chipping for Mark from our farm, Portugal.
He's tuned in. He's here with us this morning.
Yeah. Was working with him yesterday. He also didn't have gloves on.
What?
And so I think we're both feeling it a little bit today. But what we've got going on the Quinta, I mean, where do you want me to start? We've made some progress with the shop.
Yeah, let's have a look at the shop. I was telling everyone about the shop, and of course we've reported on this, or you've taken us there, haven't you, for the last 3? Last 2 visits.
2 weeks ago, had some lovely fellas come down from Lisbon.
Yeah.
and gave us a hand. And so we've taken it from being a concrete pad to now we're kind of...
Oh, look at this. Fantastic.
We've got windows in, we've got door frames.
It's a sturdy construction.
Got a door, mate. Yeah, look, I can lean against it.
Steady.
I know. And things like all my roofing sheets and everything have arrived. And so I'm just waiting on a material delivery, which is going to happen, hopefully, Quinta. And then we'll be able to carry on and crack on with this a little bit. But to be fair, taking some breaks from the building part has been essential, because obviously vegetables are growing at the moment. And so we're putting things in the ground. We're also cutting grass and mulching, like trying to get the grass cut before it all goes to seed.
Oh, man.
So we've got some mulch, but we've got things like...
Right, I'm going to give you the big screen again because we want to have a look at your veggies and what's growing here. What is that? Potatoes?
No, these are Favas beans.
Oh, right.
And then these are Avelia or peas.
Yeah.
And so these are just starting to flower now. We're starting to get some peas. I'm pretty sure my daughter will pull most of those off before I get a chance to eat them.
As it should be. As it should be.
Yeah. And then we're just sort of making use of some of these new beds that we've started. And so we've got peppers in here. Got some tomatoes going in there. They went in a couple of days ago. They're all getting ready to be mulched. And if we come up here, we've pruned all of the olive trees. So I have mountains of olive brush at the moment. Here's our potatoes.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, nice.
These need mounding up. We've got some extra earth there, but this is all the earth that came out from where we dug out the foundation of the shop.
Very good.
So this is like a little extra that
Jess,
we've got going on.
They need mounding up. I mean, they look pretty mounded up to me. What do you mean? You have to keep building it up to give the potato some depth to grow into.
Yeah, so we'll use some of this soil.
Yeah.
And wherever you can see it green, these are just at the point now that they could do with a bit more soil putting around the green parts of the potatoes.
Yeah.
And we just leave like a little green tip out so we can still photosynthesize.
Yeah.
And that'll give them a good long stem and produce loads of tubers. And so you could probably get away without mounding them up, but you know, we're all about trying to maximize. I like chips. And so we're just trying to get as much as we can. And then things like broccoli. We've got some cabbages here. Our beetroots are starting to go quite well. I love it. And then over here we've got Lombardy cabbage. These are cauliflower under here.
And is that set up to stop pests, because that white fleecing?
Yeah, we're just trying that fleece out. We've got to get some more, and we'd like to cover all of the brassicas basically, because as you know, we get a lot of wildlife, which we try and encourage. But it'd be great if we got to eat the veg rather than the animals around.
Yeah.
Yes. And then what else have we got going on? Onions. We've got the first of our onions are kind of becoming ready.
Oh, beautiful.
But these got overtaken by some self-set parsley. But they seem to be enjoying it. And so while everything's growing together in harmony, we just kind of like to leave it and see where we can go with it. And then just over here, I'm quite excited about this because I've never been very good at them before. But we've got some leeks, which are coming on and almost ready.
So you say you weren't very good at them before. What have you done? Something different this time round?
Yeah, we've made some deeper beds and made a concerted effort to get stones out and stuff like that, because we really wanted. This is what I wanted this year, was carrots.
Oh, nice.
And so they don't like to hit stones and stuff like that. You'll end up with wonky carrots, which we don't mind.
It can be quite amusing, can't they?
It'd be good if they didn't hit something and just stop, which is what has happened in the past. And so, when the lads from Lisbon came down, Lee very kindly used his expertise, and we've started laying out all of the irrigation pipe and everything to be able to water automatically. So today's job for me, while I haven't got any materials for the shop, is I'll go around and pin all that down into place.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So you got your work cut out for sure, as you were saying earlier on. Lee, did you have a good time there at Quinta Essencial, building the shed and helping out with the irrigation? Oh, Lee, you there?
It was good fun. It was a good weekend. We got wet on the Saturday. We got. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got wet on the Saturday morning, but we pushed through till afternoon. Got cracking early Sunday. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
Great, and you must be excited. I am as well. I don't see myself as a great grower, not more of a shower, but I love seeing what you're doing there, Jason. It's amazing. I'm sure others are inspired and delighted by seeing, like, when you showed the onion in the ground, seeing food growing. Rather than in a supermarket in its natural environment there, and the scale of your growing, I just find it so inspiring, and I'm sure others do. And they might have questions. So if you've got any questions for the head gardener or for Jason here, the one question that came in early was about this. It said, isn't it, in Portugal, em abril águas mil, there's supposed to be rain in Portugal in April. What's going on with that, Lee? You're shaking your head. Should we have rain and it's not happening? Are we in droughty problems again?
We're already in drought conditions. The government have already given a drought warning.
No.
Yeah, it was on one of the Guardian forums the other day. It was on the national news over the weekend. It was kind of guaranteed that we're going to get rain in April. So at the start of April, I set all the irrigation systems to 5 minutes, thinking that'll be plenty.
Yeah.
Now I'm pushing all the irrigation systems back up to 10 minutes each circuit. It's just ridiculous. We've had one afternoon of a little bit of dampness in April, and 27 yesterday in the city.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's ridiculously hot. Yeah.
Well, that was Louise's question. So the potential implication for droughts this year. So you heard it from Lee, Louise. There is a warning. What else can we be doing now then to mitigate the effects? So how are you responding to that, Jason?
Well, I'd like to say I was doing something about it. Well, but actually, it's my amazing partner who does all of the watering, and so this is why we're pretty keen to get the irrigation system in, because yes, it should be raining at the moment, which would mean that either we don't have to water, or because the temperatures are lower, we'd only have to water once a day. But already it's looking like we're going to be moving into watering twice a day. Really, we like to do that before the heat of the day comes in, first thing in the morning. Then again, just before the sun goes down, to try and get some stuff to set into the ground. But as it moves into summer, that might move into 3 times a day, just to try and keep some moisture in the soil and get some moisture underneath the mulch. Wow. To make sure things like your brassicas, your broccoli and your cabbages, which are quite water heavy, have got enough liquid that they can flourish rather than just survive. And so, yeah, it's a massive thing. And obviously, the longer this goes on, water is going to become scarcer. We're blessed. We've got a good line of water here. But we're also very aware that we're not the only people on this water table. There's lots of people around here who grow vegetables and crops. And so it's with the irrigation system and the mulching, we feel that we can water our vegetables to give them the optimum conditions, while using less water
Yeah.
than if we were to do it with a watering can or sprinklers or anything like this. And so, yeah, it is a growing concern. And something I think everyone should be aware of, especially you guys who water lawns, you know, golf courses, all these kind of things, which use quite a lot of resource.
Yes.
Just to sort of proliferate grass.
Yeah. Golf courses would make the most incredible allotments, wouldn't they?
Oh, amazing. You know, they've got a multitude of different conditions within, I don't know how many acres your average golf course takes up, but they've generally got little wooded areas, sandy areas, water hazards. It's like the opportunities to diversify. Maybe that could be a thing, the diversification of golf courses.
How about that? And we've already got golf fans here loading their guns and shouting, "Get off my land!" I think. Way to go, fella, Jason. Well done. I hear Andy left a great contribution at the local cafe. I wonder what that might have been. And Pete, a colleague, I remember a colleague telling me her mum knitted a bikini. This is going back to my new knitted pants, which are very rustic and nice. She hit the water and it sagged quite badly. Thanks for that tip there. A friend protected his garden flower beds through a process of trial and error. Who are you, Facebook user? Head Gardener McGrady doesn't like that sort of thing. I just bit the bullet and weeded completely my 4 garden areas and have been buying wood chips for the empty spaces to keep the weeds down. And of course, that'll keep the water in, makes it much easier to upkeep. Great to see you here, Rebel Mama. How are you doing? Matty admiring your sandwich panels. Nothing to do with food there, folks. That's a roofing for the shop that's happening. Antonio F is in. And serving suggestion from Pete for those fava beans go well with Chianti. Mrs. M is here. There is a fava bean festival on the Gumper map, everybody, coming up. Right, a Head Gardener McGrady question. I sprayed my peach trees before they started leafing and no leaf curl so far. I hope it sticks. Question. How do I keep the ants off my fruit trees, Lee?
Well, you can't really keep the ants off your fruit trees. It's a losing battle. If you're treating a peach tree and it hasn't got peach leaf curl, now's the time it's going to start developing. So just monitor it. You don't often get away with just giving it one spray. It only takes a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
So if she gets away with it this year, she's been lucky.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
yeah, you can't really keep the ants off the fruit trees.
And can they cause a lot of damage? I mean, or can you lure them away? What can you do? You just got to let them get on with it.
Not really. The ants don't really cause damage. It's the fungal on the trees that the ants are going for that is going to cause the damage.
Okay.
So people see the ants and think the ants are causing a big problem. It's not. They're harvesting the larvae and fungus.
Yes.
We're trying
to have a serious conversation about gardening here, and I've been given a coffee in my it's a tea, is it? Thank you for the tea in my lovely new kitten mug. Thank you very much, Mrs. Duck, for that, and Mrs. M. Lee not impressed. So yes, referring to the ants, I guess in a way here, I like the shaker attitude of growing food. 1/3 for them, 1/3 for the others, 1/3 for nature. Would you agree with that proportion there, Lee? Is that how it turns out, or too much for nature?
That's always my grass seeding attitude. Half for the lawn, half for the birds.
Okay, all right.
Always put down more than necessary.
All right, so double up on that grass seeding. Yeah. Looks great, Jason. Says Squire of the Shires, a new name here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Good to have you here. And Mrs. M has just seen that our 4-year-old has subscribed to €60 a month worth of apps. Stop him! I'm off down the rabbit hole. Says Facebook user. All right. Well, you didn't say who you were. Just take away the tablet or the cell phone. Yeah, that's a good idea. Mrs. M, Matty's got the solution there. Look at Matty's showing us no compassion whatsoever. You can only blame yourself for letting a 4-year-old unsupervised play with a tablet or phone. Wow. Tough love, Matty. Another reason not to give your kids devices. No one having any sympathy for us this morning, it would seem. We grew carrots, says Mrs. M, on another matter, into the only containers we had, which were concrete. They were tasty, but really stubby. Yeah, they were kind of broader than they were longer, no depth to go into.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that
They
was
really do.
Go on, mate.
Fine sandy soil. The finer and sandier the soil, the better for carrots.
Okay. My new garden shears have cutting edge technology. Oh dear. And bon dia, everyone from the Carl Hyde in Lisbon this morning as well. I'm going to have to use these gardening jokes sparingly. For ants, apparently, you can try sticky tape, like duct tape, with the sticky part on the outside, obviously, to trap the ants. Oh, that's a slow and painful death, isn't it? Okay. Right. So next steps then for both of you, and advice to people who are inspired by what they're seeing and hearing this morning. Jason, what's next? And tips for the would-be gardener who is not growing anything like the scale you are, but wants to get involved.
I mean, we talk about this a lot. It's just a matter of getting something in and gaining some confidence and feeling like you're not. Everyone's a novice. None of us are experts at what we do. Certainly not me. We just get through it with just a dogmatic approach of this is what we would like to do.
Yeah.
And so we put things in. Some things work, which we're always very pleased about. But it's just a matter of finding something that you'd like to eat and just give it a go. You know, it's like we're really blessed. We've got things like lots of apple trees, which this tree was looking beautiful a few days ago, but the fruit is just starting to set. So this will have a prune, but you know, and the thing we find is the more you do, the more satisfying it is, and you end up with beautiful things like this in your garden. That's fantastic. And so for us, it's a win-win situation. We get to eat nice food, and we're constantly improving our environment. And same can be said if all you have is a balcony, then there's no harm in making your balcony look beautiful and also getting some good nutritious food out of it. You know, it's and the more people do, and the less reliance that they have on other people, we believe that's a really empowering thing. Especially if you've got children. It's one of the things that children don't get taught at school, but is actually a very powerful and valid life skill. So I'm sorry, I'm just doing me morning walk as I go around as well. And
I love this. We're enjoying walking around with you. It's fantastic. You've got some interesting patterns in the sky as well this morning.
Yeah, there's a little bit going on. Not really many clouds. Can see where a few aeroplanes have been over. I'm guessing they're heading to the Algarve. We bought 10 new chickens.
Oh my goodness! How many chickens have you got now?
At the moment, I think we've got 19.
That should do it.
It tends to fluctuate. The most we've ever had was 40, which, if I'm being honest, was quite a lot to deal with.
Yes.
So it's great while you have eggs, but 40 chickens is quite an attractive proposition to foxes and the like, and it became a little bit of a battle. So all of this got moved here maybe a week ago, and so we've got electric fencing, a gallinera that we can put some shade over. And then obviously this is the chicken tractor that I made, which gets towed behind the actual tractor. Yeah. So we can give all the birds some fresh pasture. Look at my cockerel. He's looking quite happy and proud today.
He is, and so he should be. That's fantastic. So great to catch up with you once a month and see what you're doing there. What's the scale then of your intentions there, would you say? I mean, have you done the maths on that? Because you're growing to sell as well as feed yourselves. What sort of output are we looking at for this year?
I mean, in simple terms, just as much as we can manage. And so with the shop, I just want to clear up any kind of confusion. It isn't only going to be our produce that's in the shop.
Okay.
Because we by no means produce enough vegetables to keep a shop with hopefully the level of clientele we'd like for a full year. And so what we're going to do is the shop will be split into a couple of areas, because we're going to have to buy some fruit and veg from a distributor, which will be the same as you get at your local market, for instance. And then when we have seasonal gluts, or when we process various things into different products, they'll also be for sale in there. Had quite a bit of interest from my Portuguese neighbours, because it's pretty undeniable that something's going on now. And when I tell them that we're going to have market vegetables and our what they call biologic products, they're always a little bit blown away when I tell them it's going to be exactly the same price.
Yes.
Because all we want to do is be able to present two versions of the same thing and give people a choice as to which it is that they would prefer to eat. And
So they can have chemicals or not chemicals. I wonder which people will go for.
I don't know. We'll
Right.
see. We'll see. But yeah, the idea that it's all going to be the same price, and my neighbours will be like, "But this is biologic," and I'm like, "Yeah,
We've been
but it's
conditioned,
still,
haven't we?
but it's still just a carrot."
Yeah.
And the whole thing with regenerative agriculture is you have less inputs for an equal or greater output.
Yes, like the
So-
style of that.
And so it doesn't cost me. It costs me less to produce a carrot than the people who sell it at the supermarket, because I don't have fertilizers, I don't have heavy machinery. We're lucky enough that we bought our property, and so we don't have rents, and our overheads are lower. And so as a business model, it just seems fair and reasonable to us that the savings that we make on those things get transferred to the people who are going to buy our products. And hopefully that is another nourishing part of what we're doing. It's like, it's not going to cost you any extra to eat healthily.
Amazing. Amazing. I think you like the sound of this, Head Gardener McGrady. Jason said something about something is definitely going on now. Let's pick up on that. Today, I understand the VAT adjustment is occurring in the supermarkets to make the cost of living crisis, or manipulation, you might say, a little bit more manageable for people. Yet, strangely enough, the supermarkets have already put up their prices to fill in the gap by the sound of it. So people are either noticing no difference or noticing a little bit more rather than less when it comes to their bills. Gardening, and I know you said this before, Lee, but I do like to re-emphasize this, and Andy's joining in as well. You know, gardening doesn't have to be all or nothing. Been there, done that. Do what you can enjoyably manage. Your advice often, Lee, is to grow what you like doing. But there's a political edge to this at the moment, isn't there? It's quite important that maybe people get the idea of growing some of their own food.
There's always a political bent to it, yeah. People really need to be more self-sufficient in everything that they do, not just producing their own food. But you can grow lettuce in a plant pot. You know, you don't need vast amounts of space. You can grow tomatoes on your balcony, and it's just another middle finger to the big man, isn't it? If you're producing your own salad, yeah.
Yes.
It's just another finger to the government saying we don't actually need you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's perhaps in the air at the moment. Any other tips from you? You must be very busy dealing with people's gardens, the sort of fiercest time of growth in the garden and getting that under control. What's on your agenda today?
Oh, it's a normal maintenance day today, but apart from the weekend with Jason, I don't remember my last weekend off, and I'm fully booked up until middle of May. So we're not doing any more quotes at the moment. So yeah, it's just crazy season has started, and everyone forgets about the garden in winter. Then that's asking for jobs to be done this time of year. So
Good. All right.
Just
Well, I'm glad
that
you've got a full order book, and great that you have. Oh, is that Carl Hyde there?
Hello.
There he is, but not Zelensky. Carl Hyde sat next to Lee in Lisbon there. Fantastic. Yeah. And the PT Portugal supermarkets made record profits last year, so they're inflating prices to be greedy. Not much sympathy for the supermarkets this morning, and a good time to become more self-sufficient, as Lee is saying. Squire of the Shires, we'll come to João in just a moment. Squire of the Shires says, put some Vaseline around your trunk to keep those ants off there. And that's a tip that I think Matty and maybe Rebel Mama will be putting into action. Yeah, it's the what is this Rebel Mama saying? It's the ants harvesting the aphids and such. I'm glad they don't cause damage. Obrigado, Lee. Thank you, Lee. So, any more questions for Head Gardener McGrady? He's always happy to answer those while he's here. And I hear Lee is really easy to get along with. Oh, Squire of the Shires, thank you for your tips today with the Vaseline around the trunk to keep the formigas at bay. And you found a 2-inch paintbrush handy to flick the green flies off your tender bits. One of the more relaxing and enjoyable parts of gardening by the sound of it there. Great stuff. Let's bring him on from Central Portugal as well this morning. João Oliveira from Mushmore. Are you off, Lee?
I'm going to go, mate. Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.
You've got a busy day. Thank you for being here. So one in, one out. There goes Lee. Thank you, Lee and Carl. Good morning to you, João Oliveira. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Hopefully, I can hear you well because there's a chainsaw going on. Not mine. Here.
It's always one of the sounds of the Portuguese
Happy days. No, it's
Yes.
I'm here at the beautiful village of Açores, not Açores, but Açores in Fundao. It's a hill, like a mountain village, as you can see. Okay, with a very deep valley there, and it's one of the aldeias do Xisto.
Of course it is. Look at you.
Aldeias do Xisto. Yeah. It's good to be in such a wide view, eh? Not bad at all. I would love to have some trees to show as Jason, but I've been there. Now I had to come here anyway. And so happy days. So you wanted to know about news, Carl, right?
Yeah, what's going on? Have you got any big sustainability news? Is there anything the government's doing? Is there are there grassroots, pardon the pun, initiatives going on that help people?
Absolutely.
Great.
I have the best news ever. Okay, and the big news is that the news will always look like the same news. So nothing is actually changing a lot. So it's just changing a bit maybe the format. But what has been happening about humanity and the environment for maybe since the beginning, it's not changing so much. Actually, what is changing so much? So, what are the big news? The big news is you. You are the big news. So if you want some big news, just act some big news and do some big news at your garden, at your property, and sell your apartment and join the good life. So you are the good news, and if you want some news every day, in every way, you must be you, because I got some news for you. Business as usual is there for staying. So as it is there for staying, if you really want to really our hunger of big news, then it must be you. That's my news.
That is a really good and rousing message. We are the news. We can become the news. And I think you laid it on the line there. You're telling people to sell their apartments and move to the countryside.
Why not? Why not?
Why not, indeed?
Why not? No, yeah, okay. You don't have to sell it already. You might just rent it, okay? Because it's the big moment to rent houses nowadays, and do as a lot of expats did, that they just rented their houses, and they came here to Portugal to start a new perspective of life. So that's all about Portugal, right? Yeah. Bringing new perspectives of life, So that's why we are here.
There is Antonio F has been very helpful here. Schist Village in Fundao municipality, as João said there. Beautiful place, beautiful backdrop. Jason, you're one of these people who I think you probably live quite an unconventional life anyway, but you've certainly put your hat in the ring in the way that João was talking about and taken on a life on the land. it hasn't been easy, as we found out over the last few months talking to you. But I guess you would do it all again in a heartbeat, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we came to Portugal and we bought some land, we had a nice life, and we travelled a lot and got to see lots of different places. But having a child, for us, just having the space, which is manageable, it's clean, and a 3-year-old can walk around, and pretty much 80% of what she picks up, she can just eat straight away, was a very wholesome attraction for us. And we're 2.5 years in. Things are slowly getting easier, mainly because we're learning how to manage the bits that we have, not better, but maybe more efficiently. And as soon as we stop adding extra projects onto it, we're hoping that in the next year, 18 months, that we might be able to get a bit more of a work-life balance going out of it.
Yeah.
But for the moment, we really enjoy seeing the results of our labours and stuff like that. And so, for instance, with the shop, we're just getting some of our product range together.
What's going on here? Joao's giving that a thumbs up. What have we got?
And so here we've got some of our natural no spray wine.
Yes.
Which is completely vegan, because we don't use any finings. We just re-rack it. That comes in at a very healthy 11%. We call it Vinho para Almoço. So you can go and get your plato de dia, 0.5 litre of wine. It's kind of that level. Here we've got some, my partner, when we had a big orange glut, we've got preserved oranges, red wine vinegars. This is a new one for us. This is quince vinegar.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
But all of our vinegars and anything that we put in a jar is alive. And so it's packed full of probiotic goodness. They need to be kept in the cool and in the dark in order to keep the integrity of the probiotics. And so we feel that these things promote good gut health, as well as being nutritional for you. And we just like the idea that anything that leaves the Quinta is essentially still alive at the point that you take it away.
How fantastic.
How you treat it after that is going to make a difference as to how long that lasts.
Yes.
But,
well, love it, Jason. So this is what will be available in the shop. Fantastic stuff. And we're so grateful to you for inspiring us and showing us, I think, at the heavy duty end of things, that what's possible there. Let's come back to you, João. You were pointing at something in the landscape there. What have we got there? Is that some grapes growing for the wine?
No, it's kiwi. It's kiwi. It's beautifully
fruit
pruned.
vines. Yeah.
It's kiwi. It's beautifully pruned, and that's the news that we want. It's spring, So every year we got some news about spring.
Natural news. Now I'm bringing onto the screen your Mandela creation.
Mandala. Yeah. Well, but the mandala really went on Mandela. So we used
Mandela. Forgive me. So here we are.
No. We did use Mandela. So no need to be forgiven. It was really a masterpiece. So I just applied the Mandela, not the mandala, the Mandela principle. That is, first you listen to everybody, then you try to add up all the good ideas, okay? And that's what we did. So we went all around the 14 people design, and we managed to figure it out in a record time, the design that we would be doing. So we knew the design about Saturday around 3 o'clock. Okay, so we started putting that on the field, and that our great news, because actually we managed in a small group of people to do a full mandala in nearly only one day. So
Good
That's
God.
news. That's great news. It means that people, when they are really committed, when they are really involved in one purpose, in one objective, they can manage miracles and they can manage things that would totally be out of our expectations. And actually, it was the first workshop that I managed to totally, absolutely finish it all. So usually
Fantastic.
the workshops are demonstrators, are exercisers, you know, and they just taught me a lesson. The lesson in which that if everybody is committed, everybody is guided by one purpose and happy to help each other on it, things will get done, and they did.
People
They
power.
absolutely did.
It,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So this was last weekend. Your people came
Yeah,
together
last
to do this
yeah,
Fundao.
it was
What?
Saturday and Sunday, and
Tell
it
us more
was
about it. What's the idea here? What's the gardening principle that at work here that you're using? And I'll go through the
well,
pictures.
the mandala is a representation of the universe, so that was why the Mandela principle. So as
Yeah.
it is a representation of the universe, I wanted to represent the universe of the class.
Yeah.
So we gathered it all together, and we had the proof of what biodiversity is. Biodiversity is everyone bringing its own best, and connecting all the bests together will give a masterpiece, and that's what
Mhm.
actually happened there. It was a masterpiece in which we made different kinds of solutions that suits everyone's mind and everyone's sensitivity about it. But the mandala is also an opportunity for you to get independent of a lot of stuff, even mental stuff, that's not really giving you the right things that you crave for life. So
What do you mean? What
the
do you mean,
mandala
Sally?
can actually. Sorry?
What do you mean by that? This
What?
what will help you with your mental health and
Yeah,
like different way of
absolutely,
relating.
absolutely, absolutely. So for now, for some fields, that's the puppy. Hi, puppy.
Oh, look at this
That's
lovely
the tractor.
Portuguese scene here.
No, no, it's actually bom dia, bom dia, bom dia, bom dia. It's actually
Oh,
beautiful.
look at this! In a schist village, we're seeing a tractor coming through. This is
Bom dia, bom dia, bom
fantastic.
dia, bom dia.
Hola, bom
That,
dia. You're on a Good Morning
that,
Portugal show.
that's for the goats. That's for the goats. It's beautiful to see
These are
people that
lovely.
are 70 years old or older, working like hell and not really thinking
Not,
about thinking about it as work. It's just life for them.
it's their life. It's their
And
life. That's right.
they
And nice
enjoy
to
it.
see a vintage Massey Ferguson still
Did
going.
you recognise that tractor there, Jason?
Well,
Oh, I,
Messi
I know all
Ferguson
the
will always
tractors.
go. It's they well, maybe you just need to take one part or two, but they will always go in the end. Messi Ferguson, maybe not
But
us, but
Joao,
okay. Once, yeah.
tell us what's going to be growing in here then. So we've seen the
Well,
pictures of
everything
the
is
beautiful.
growing in there. Actually, I've put pretty much all. Okay, so the first approach was the pragmatical approach for the trainees, in which we just made the zonings out of nitrogen fixing, carbon fixing, aromatic, insect repeller, and crawlers that cover crops. So all the zonings, things that grow high, things that grow low. And then yesterday, I just did another approach that is the deep ecology approach, in which I just gathered all the seeds that I could got. And yes, I did made some zoning, but I just put them on the horta, on the garden, and let's see what happens. What will happen is that they will grow a bit like chaotic, but then I will choose between those that look better and those that don't, and everything will be all right. But I like this approach for myself, and I understand that this is not the approach for most of people. Zoning is, and zoning is cool with all the etiquettes with all the names on it. Usually, it works better for people. But I also like this deep ecology stuff because as I'm having a really deep professional times now, and I'm not spending all my days here. So I'm happy with seeding abundance and leaving some for the animals that are there. In the end, I was yesterday thinking about something, taxes, and nature has also its own taxes. And I rather pay my taxes to foxes, yeah, really, and to
I get
birds
it.
and
I
to,
totally get it. Totally get it.
yeah. I rather pay my taxes to all the animals helping me, having my vegetable garden and my fruit.
Oh no, we get the point. We get the point. He's frozen up there, and I saw.
Perfect. It's a perfect thing. But the mandala here is with the food forest, it's absolutely designed and planted to feed them all, feed us all. Feed the animals, feed us, and everybody that comes to visit also. So it's not something that I will put on a box. I could, but it's something that I wanted to grow mostly the most universally possible.
Yeah,
So for everybody.
love it. Squire of the Shire's loving the pictures. Looks like a grand day with those lovely clear blue skies in Portugal. That is the Portuguese blue that we love so much. I've got an important question for you both before we leave today. But before I do, tell us more about what you can do for people, João. Clearly, you're teaching people how to build mandalas, and you can
Hmm.
advise people on the purchase of land here in Portugal if they want to do what you suggested, which is to
Sure.
sell up and come to the land.
Sure.
What else can you do for people here in Portugal, for people who move
Well,
into Portugal?
mostly, what we do is consultation and dedicated trainings. Okay, so
Okay.
but our main core business it's environmental restoration.
Yeah.
So we do work for the state, for universities, for municipalities, and we like that because then we can make uh, great things that impact a lot of people. And then we have the other dimension that is more private to help people like expats coming here, in which through the consultation and the dedicated training, they will become able to do everything by themselves, or at least to supervise those people that they hire locally.
Yeah.
So from scratch, from moment zero to moment all, by having it all, we actually can help and can assist and can follow up all that process of buying a property and changing it to an agroecological model, and to adapt it to your own philosophy, and having you or helping the client to become a part of the ecosystem that sustains us all. So that's pretty much what we do,
That
right?
is a really good reason to get out of bed in the morning. I love that. Thank you very much. So, important question for you both to conclude today on this our sustainability or Sustainable Portugal Tuesday, when we
Mhm.
get together once a month, and you are the sustainability squad here. Let's say we are post-pandemic. We're not going back to normal, it would appear now, and things are in a bit of a mess politically, socially. I think both of you are providing an amazing vision for the future, particularly in Portugal. Here, we've got this political turmoil, the housing crisis, which some are reframing as a political and planning crisis, or a political bankruptcy, a moral bankruptcy, you might say. Oh, look, here we go, bringing us, taking out of me my rant there and back to earth and nature. Fantastic. What's your vision for the world and Portugal, particularly, and how important it is for Portugal to play a part in this? How do you see the future shaping up? And as how you're living as an alternative to what's on offer at the moment. I think you know what I'm getting at. Let's start with you, Jason, on that. You're living it. You're correct. I think you're creating this, and you're offering an inspiring example. How do you see the sort of big, longer term societal political picture, and how Portugal fits into that?
Well, I think Portugal is kind of uniquely set up within Western Europe, because we're not doing anything new here. People have lived the way that we're living in central Portugal, especially around this area, for many years. It's just been as the powers that be try and drag people into the 21st century, as it were, and putting much more importance on, like you say, property investment, and you have to make money and you have to be successful. We're registered as a family farm, which is what allows us to process and sell some of our products without the heavy licensing involved in big agro. And there are already thousands and thousands of families, whether they're Portuguese or expats who are coming here to try and forge a new life, who've pretty much got the same kind of deal as us. They've got some land, which is generally workable. They've got some space. There's not much employment around where we live, unless you live in like the towns or the bigger villages around here. There's not much else to do, and so we're just trying to encourage people to go back to the old ways a little bit, but with a more modern approach. And so we think, especially around our area, there's a great opportunity for a lot of cooperative provision. And you see so many pieces of land which would be viable, but people have lost the interest because they can't see the value to it.
Yes.
It's a lot of hard work, but unless you've got somewhere an outlet for all of that work, then just to go into self-subsistence doesn't seem particularly worth it when you've got to pay for your internet connection, you've got to put fuel in your car and everything.
Yes.
But what we think is, if everybody does a bit and there's an outlet for your endeavours, then there's a chance of attracting more people to this kind of lifestyle. And with the shop and everything, because we aren't going to be able to state that we're organic, because you have to have testing and licensing, and I don't join gangs. And so our thing is, we try and explain as best we can to people that we don't add any fertilizers and we don't have any sprays and everything like that. So if people come to the shop, we're kind of running an open garden where people can come and have a look at our practices and make their own mind up as to whether they think there's any value in it or not. My Portuguese neighbours have started coming round. They're seeing how we're managing our soil without any tillage, and by making our own compost. And slowly, I'm not saying everybody's interested and everybody thinks that we're doing the right thing, but there's quite a few of my neighbours are now starting to take interest in what we're doing, because they can see that overall it's less work and less inputs, and you're getting kind of the same results or better. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is just show people that things are tenable and worthwhile.
Fantastic. And you're doing a great job at that, Jason. I'm so grateful to you for showing up once a month and keeping us up to date with your progress. Thank you for that message. João, finally then with you. Vision of the future and the part Portugal can play in it. It strikes me that what you're doing is quite an antidote to the less satisfying and more dysfunctional ways of modern life.
Well, yes, we do show people, also clients maybe are more interested on it. We do show people a slightly different perspective of Jason, in which, having food that we cultivated, it's just a natural consequences or consequence of what we are doing. So the mandala is not really, or the vegetable garden, any kind of form and shape of vegetable garden. The main purpose is actually not producing food. Okay, that's the side, but the byproduct. What clients look for me to produce, it's a new self. It's a new mentality. It's a new approach to. So when you're doing a vegetable garden, you're shaping up your body, you're shaping up your mind. Okay, you're shaping up your references, your philosophy, your way to see and deal with life, in which is absolutely deeply connected to the reason of it all that is among nature. So if you really seek for the meaning of life, you better go out to nature and be silent, because there the answers will all come. So the growing, having food to eat is just the price, the price of behaving well, and doing your job. But it's pretty much that on the philosophy that humanity is too much intoxicated, intoxicated with greed, intoxicated with a lot of petty movements that will eventually take us to self-extinction. So it's not me that I'm saying. Ora, bom dia, bom dia. More for the
This is a
sheep
great track.
and the guarding dog. Okay, great news.
Loving
Thank
it.
you.
Loving it.
So it's that. It's not even our approach. It's what actually clients are looking for. They are looking for a change in life. They are looking for a new perspective, a new fitting in this crazy society that they don't feel like fitting in. So we help people mold themselves to nature and to the meaning of life, and to the purposes, the small purposes that make your life really going way better. And in the end, you will have some decontaminated food. In the end, you will have some very healthy vitamin surplus food. So, but it's way more than that. It's a different view. It's a different life. It's a different approach. It's a way to stay in life in which you say no to the bad things that have been poisoning you through all the time, and you're saying yes to another approach, another lifetime, another even the faith of life, and the values of life, and the community and the solidarity and everything that being in the land and touching the community will for sure be available for you.
Fantastic. Oh, bless you both under your beautiful Portuguese blue skies. Thank you, Jason, so much for being here. Thank you, João, for being here live from Açores, a schist village in central Portugal. Here's a last environmental tip for you that I think you might agree with. Save water, drink beer. Everybody, thank you. Have a great day. See you soon. See you next month. Bye for now.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. So inspiring, those two gentlemen. And what a lovely thing to be coming live from the village of Açores there, a schist village, and also Quinta Essencial, of course, where Jason is. Love his updates every month. Let's do a couple more of those fantastic dad jokes from T-Duck by way of a palate cleanser before we go to Iberian FM and ask ourselves the question, what can we do? After hearing all of that, those inspiring messages, how can we make politicians more accountable? Should we not bother with that? Should we just head for the hills and start growing food instead? Got a pet termite today and named him Clint Eatswood. That's good, isn't it? Okay, we've got another one. What did one monocle say to the other monocle? Let's get together and make a spectacle of ourselves. I like this a lot. At the job interview, they asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I told him, I think we'll still be using mirrors in 5 years. Very good. All right, we'll come back to your comments after we've set this up, ready to answer that question. How can we make politicians more accountable? After dealing with the idea of monarchy and royal families on the eve of or in the run-up to the coronation of King Charles III in the UK. We dealt with monarchy yesterday, didn't we? We're going to talk about politicians today and how to make them more accountable right after this. Right, there we go. How can we make politicians more accountable? Give us a buzz on 913-590-303 if you have a solution to that. Let's just look at a few of your comments coming over. The hangover from the Good Morning Portugal show is probably drinking beer instead of as a way of saving water that may have caused that this morning. Glad to hear you're improving, Suze. Agree, Suze. The best remedy, sunshine, and we're ready for it too. Yeah. That's there's Suze over there in Vancouver, recovering from a bout of COVID and on the mend as well, getting some Ashmaliotish, some get well soon greetings from the community here. Get well soon, says Squire of the Shires. Thank you for being here this morning, Squire of the Shires. Not the showers, but the Shires. Have you tried those vitamin D and zinc supplements? Are naturals always best? You say there. And Antonio F and João F encouraging Suze to get well soon. I need some Portugal sun. You so do. Portuguese, you might call in to answer his own question in a moment. How do we make politicians more accountable? On 913-590-303 will be he may call in and answer that question because he put it to us yesterday, having called in to talk about what he thinks we should do with the monarchy. Jason still here saying preserve the monarchy and pickle a prince. That's his solution to that situation. Yeah, Squire of the Shires, good to meet you. Do come back soon, if you will. There was an interesting story when it comes to politics and government, a slightly tenuous connection, but an interesting one nonetheless. And I think it has all the hallmarks of what's wrong with a society, perhaps you could say, that is over-governed or doesn't have the most functional form of government. Very interesting, I thought this was, and you may too. Tell me what you think about this whilst you're girding your loins and finding out how easy it is to call 913-590-303. So we can extend this, couldn't we? Zombie workers limiting productivity in Portugal. This is certainly a political problem, is it not? And a governmental problem in the broadest sense. Zombie workers limiting productivity in Portugal, apparently. This is from the Portugal News. 6 comments. I can't wait to get to them. Work productivity in Portugal has practically stagnated in the last decade, indicates an analysis carried out by the Public Administration Competence Centre. That's an interesting organisation, is it not? And reported by the media source Echo. Productivity isn't everything. But in the long run, it's almost everything. A country's ability to improve its living standards over time depends virtually entirely on its ability to improve productivity per worker. The citation of the Nobel Prize in Economics, Paul Krugman, set the tone for the Public Administration Competence Centre to analyse the productivity of companies in Portugal. Now, my bad here, because I'm extending this to, I thought it was about, what the on earth is that? An anatomical doll doing my Google ads there, and a pair of butterfly. Oh, it's tuning into what I'm talking about here, isn't it? Let's just turn those off for a minute. Don't know where they come from. Productivity isn't everything, as we've discovered there, and I thought this was a reflection on the public sector, but apparently it's looking at the private sector, which is possibly even more worrying, is it not? A document that highlights the impact of zombie companies in raising finance for more productive competitors, and which also highlights the added value of companies with more complex tasks. Before that, the report condemns the near stagnation dynamics observed between 2010 and 2019 in productivity in Portugal, which only accelerated the slowdown trend observed since 1970. Have we really been involved in a slowdown trend in Portugal since 1970? In the second decade of this century, the average annual growth rate for productivity per worker was only 0.6%. At the same time, the same level as Spain and Germany, but below countries such as Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia. In 2019, the year before the pandemic, labour productivity in Portugal corresponded to only 49 and 56% of that recorded in France and Germany, signals the document. However, the Baltic countries registered substantially higher productivity growth rates and are now very close to the labour productivity registered in Portugal. So what causes the slowdown here? The zombie workers limiting productivity in Portugal. And anyone who's dealt with I think anyone who's dealt with the bureaucracy here might forgive me for thinking that that is part of the problem in local government, a kind of, a lack of efficiency. And on the one hand, we're saying, we want to be respectful and compliant foreigners, immigrants coming into the country. But sometimes it goes a little bit too far, doesn't it? When you're facing a situation where you think it really doesn't need to be like this. This is just dysfunctional. This isn't cultural. It is dysfunctional, and that's the interesting Venn diagram. We're not really Zen diagram right now. We're Venn diagram here on the Iberian FM. That is the problem, isn't it? Where it goes into that Venn diagram of where it's slipping away from a cultural cause. And it's more of a dysfunctional matter because it's just not working very well. And I don't think there's any harm in talking about that and addressing it. And I think there is a bit of zombieism going on in local government. So with regard to the economic context, the speaker here draws attention to the exit barriers that favour the survival of zombie companies that absorb resources. The document identifies that in non-tradable sectors such as services and construction, a greater presence of zombie companies limits investment and employment, increases the productivity gap between companies, and increases the productivity requirement for newly created companies. Workers' qualifications also contribute positively to increased productivity. I think we can safely accept that. The same happens with the qualifications of managers. The most productive companies have, on average, more management positions and more qualified managers than other companies. Now, for me, and I'm eager to get to the comments here because they're always a bit spicy and juicy in the Portugal news. Add your comments in the chat or on 913. Call in on 913-590-303. Keen to get to the chat here. But yes, there is a little bit of a zombie vibe, I would say, not just in the public sector, but not just in the private sector. And you could say the private sector, the context for that is created by the government, and some of the policies of the government are not entirely suitable or supportive to the utmost productivity. And then when it comes to the public sector, that's another matter altogether. And I think some will allude or refer directly to that in the comments here. Says Kay on this matter of zombie productivity here in Portugal. If a country only values the tourism sector and selling overpriced properties, it is no wonder that it is becoming zombified. Education, professional training, and the end of endemic corruption are key to any well-functioning society, and a good work ethic. That's Kay. I'm afraid our wonderful country is on a big downward spiral thanks to tourism and high homes prices, forcing everyone out. It will soon be known as a holiday island, not Portugal. That's sobering, isn't it? From Jay. This is the result of losing talented employees. There's zombieism to companies abroad, either because Portugal doesn't offer sufficient opportunities to the highly skilled, or the tax system is too punitive to high earners. There is too much focus by government on providing things free for people who've made no effort in life, says Billy Bissett. There is too much focus by government on providing things free for people who've made no effort in life. That doesn't sit well with people who've invested time, effort, and money trying to better themselves through education and training. Work has to be worthwhile financially. No one takes a job to see half their salary go to the government. Support the strivers, not the skivers, says Billy Bissett. I believe Portugal should run initiatives, says Ash Railton in Porto, to get companies to promote vocational training with incentives that are given to participating businesses, helping them to up their skill or upskill their current workforce, and additionally provide growth and job opportunities for new starters. Countries such as the UK, France, Belgium, and many more have a similar equivalent. And are they doing well? And it could prove very successful and also help population retention, as many young qualified workers are leaving to higher positions abroad. That is a problem. Zombies run the country is the problem, says Ian in the Beiras. And this is a small point, says Peter Densham in the Algarve, but I have been spending nearly 40 years here, and I noticed that the needed to actually visit government offices, revenue departments, local authorities is just as bad as ever. In 40 years, there's a long-term view from a foreigner, an immigrant, an expat. I believe there's a huge amount of productive time lost to see government official staff. The government must address this. Will they? Can we make the government more accountable? Quite a lot of comments are coming in already about this. The zombieism, let's refer to it broadly as zombieism. I'm not sure public floggings are the answer. A department for transparency or of transparency. Is that just going to be more bureaucracy and another layer of zombieism, possibly? Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Jason Hall, yes, your comment responded to with a few giggles there. Preserve the monarchy, pickle a prince. And yes, as well, enjoying that. I wouldn't waste the alcohol, says a Portuguese, who may join us in just a moment with a call to talk about how to make the politicians more accountable, but hopefully without a public flogging. I took a screenshot of your supportive words all. That's nice, and you can treasure that. It's 2 a.m. or thereabouts for Suze. So get well soon. Ash melhores, Suze. Keep on healing and getting better. Want better productivity? Pay people a decent wage. Yeah. And the wage has to not disappear 50% in taxes, does it? Or when you add in all those stealth taxes. And it has to be geared to a decent cost of living, quality of life, does it not? You can't just put wages up and expect that to be the end of the problem. The good wages need to be in an environment where those good wages can be enjoyed, surely. Don't call me Shirley. There are better uses than monarch pickling of alcohol, perhaps sanitizing hospitals. Oh, another little sort of, is that a mini rant in there? And we need more queen bees rather than more royals, says Suze. Very good. I hope you're on the mend, Suze, says Portuguese. I agree about bees, just not the monarchy. That was my point. Trained workers are more productive. Wow, Sherlock. Yeah, who'd have thought? And first, don't charge small businesses and enterprises with such criminal taxes so as to allow them to breathe and pay better wages. Yes, João F. Most of the working class depends on small businesses, not the huge ever-profiting companies and corporations, as part of that siphoning of wealth from the poor and the middle classes up to the elite and super rich, as we were talking about yesterday. So what to do? Do we put the politicians on a short leash? Well, can you? Can they be reined in at all, I wonder? Now, I did have a rather good video from is it James Melville and George Galloway? I neglected to upload it, but it is on my Facebook timeline if you want to see that. It isn't just the politicians, is it? It's the unelected people who seem to be quite keen on saying how things should be run with their vision of the future and how people should behave. Unelected, those computer salesmen, for example, and the owners of large corporations, they are very powerful people. Can they be kept on a short leash, I wonder? Department of Transparency, not sure. There really, I think that it will be another layer. You can't have this. It's like the police, isn't it? Inspecting themselves. Can it be done? Let's answer that call and go to some more comments. The government says Antonio F might probably charge the public to watch those. To watch the public floggings? Well, that's enterprising. Lord Gilchrist, funny you should be here this morning.
Well, I think you kind of goaded me a little bit subliminally to join you.
It worked. So what have you got to say? Can you keep, good morning to you, bon dia. Can you keep the politicians on the short leash?
What can we do? I literally, most of my suggestions aren't very kind, because I think you should be always holding public servants who are supposed to be in control of, the public funds and the public entities. You should be holding them to the highest standards. And I don't know what you would do to rein them in so they have accountability. And I suspect you could levy the rule of law to exact, huge penalties on them for their blatant criminality or for their sleaze.
Yes. So you're not up for systemic change then. You want to tweak the as I would see it, you want to rearrange the furniture on this Titanic of a thing.
Well, no, I'd firstly like to fill the hole and then start bucketing out the water,
to extend the analogy.
If you're going to use that analogy. I would keep the band playing though, so it'll be incremental changes.
Sometimes a metaphor can be taken too far, can't it?
Right, it can. I'm driving that one, yeah. No, I think really there needs to be, if you want a better run country, you need a better organised government. in that regards, that they need the eye on the ball and not how to line their own pockets. So I think public accountability needs to be, everything they do needs to be transparent, and so they can be held accountable, and also that they cannot, what was it called? A super injunction their way out of, accountability. That happened in the UK, didn't it?
Gotcha.
People are taking out these
you're talking about the
super
highest
injunctions to.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that goes on, doesn't it? So allegedly, we wouldn't know that, would we necessarily? But you're talking about the highest levels of government, and you want higher levels at these higher levels of accountability and making sure that they adhere to
everything's
the law.
Transparent. It's for public record. It's for public availability.
Yeah.
And so anyone, like I said, you can have a little department of transparency that goes, right, what have you done? Let's just check. And it's just checks and balances on the actual, ministries and the politicians, the heads of various parts.
Lord Gilchrist, wouldn't the politicians agree to that and say, yes, this is a really good idea, and I've got a really good mate who I went to school with who will run this department of transparency?
No. That's the kicker, right? You have like a made up of literally voluntary citizens, not friends, not it's like, when you enter a competition, like anyone can enter this competition unless you're related to someone who works for the organization, then you're not allowed to enter the competition. So it's like kind of, there's got to be no link between the overseer or the person who's checking on what's been done and what's been signed, and the actual government entities themselves. So there can be no backhanding of the old school tie, if you like, which again, sadly, goes on way too much in the UK.
Your public flogging idea, there's a couple of responses to your earlier ideas. Public floggings and keep them on a short leash. Didn't Cynthia Payne try that back in the 1980s? It would appear Stephen Wells is saying that actually some of the politicians like that sort of treatment, so they might queue up.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is why she never went to prison, of course.
And no, not more departments. There are way too much of them. We have to control useless bureaucracy. TDEC picking on useless bureaucracy and calling it
bureaucracy is a misnomer, right?
Good morning as well from Siobhan at Cia de Quinta. Good morning to you, Siobhan. Your interview will be up on our YouTube channel soon. Not looking forward, going back to the rules that we were talking about yesterday, not looking forward to upcoming Canadian currency with King Chuck on our buck. That's got a nice ring to it. I'll have to leave the country. Wait, got that planned already. Well done, Suze. Go on, you got some more ideas, I think.
Well, no, I just was going to say the banknote preview I've seen for the UK currency, he looks about 20 years younger than he actually is now.
Of course, if you were king, wouldn't you do that?
Well, but again, this is why off with their heads.
No. Okay, so
allegedly,
right. I've got another question for you, and it's okay. So this is here are some solutions for making politicians accountable. Something more effective than a cross in a box every 4 or 5 years, which I've always found a little curious myself. What about these? How yesterday we saw this almost like a transference or a transition. The royals aren't what they used to be, and the politicians are the new royals. But who are the new politicians? And I would put it to you, Lord Gilchrist, that the new politicians are the likes of Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Klaus Schwab. There are people who seem to have quite an influence in the running of our lives. Fauci, he's another one. I
mean, it's also the lobbyists, isn't it? I mean, this is another thing.
How do we keep them on a short leash, and how do we stop them? Look, apparently, Antonio F. says masks are no longer mandatory in health facilities as of today, thanks to the likes of Fauci and Gates, you might argue, and the World Health Organization. Masks are increasingly proven to be useless, certainly on the scale that they were being used at, and we were being forced to use them. And these initiatives or suggestions were brought about by not the elected ones that we're trying to make accountable, but the unelected ones who we don't seem to be ever make them accountable. What should we do about that lot?
Well, again, need kind of keeping on a little bit of a shorter leash. The thing is you need public health professionals, for example, that have no direct meddling in politics. So you kind of need health organisations. I wouldn't say the WHO is perfect, but you do kind of need these kind of bodies or entities. Again, I think the lobbying the lobbying of governments is a big problem. I think there should be some sort of law to prevent the amount of lobbying that happens. I mean, sure, you can appeal to a government if you're a very profitable entity. If you're Boeing or Big Pharma and you want to do something, the government hasn't made a decision. I think you could appeal to them to make a decision, but by donating millions and billions of coin into the system isn't a way to get your thing done. It should still be done by a democratic process rather than just paying your way through governments.
Yes. Well,
this is the problem. Corruption is the big problem. This is why they need to be accountable. You need to control corruption. And I saw a comment actually from João about the corruption thing, which was limiting the number of family members in public office, which is again another great idea.
Let's go because we'll conclude now. Good news is, Lord Gilchrist, that you are immortalised again on Spotify. The Iberian FM Phone In is a podcast. We take these conversations and we make them into a podcast, and they go up on Spotify and other podcast platforms. Do subscribe and tune in. Go on, mate.
I would also encourage others to phone in and stand on their own soapbox.
It's easy to do, isn't it? It's easy to do. As
easy
you've proven. Yeah. Thank you, mate. Okay, last few comments then. That decision, no mask, was already published in the Diario de República. Now it's up to health facilities to decide. Now, I think that's a great idea. Let local facilities decide rather than, the World Health Organization telling us things that many of which turn out to be wrong. They've had an impact on people who they never meet or know, or whose context they don't understand. Let's bring these things down to a local or more local level. I think that would help. In my opinion, says João, the whole election system should be changed so as to make PMs directly accountable before the people who elect them. That sounds like a good idea. Another issue, as you mentioned there, Lord Gilchrist, is to limit the number of family members in public offices. That leads us, of course, to controlling corruption. Maybe we'll talk about that another day. We need health officials who don't make millions off drug patents or patients. Yes, I nearly read that as patients, but it would be the same, would it not? And yes, much of this sponsored by Pfizer. I've not had the call yet to sponsor this by Pfizer and thereby change my narrative. Not yet anyway. What Tyler had a good idea. The Peasants' Revolt. Let's talk about more about that in the coming days and weeks. Ultimately, enterprises should not be allowed to contribute to political campaigns. That way, big trusts and companies would be restrained in their power to influence politics. Thank you, João F. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lord Gilchrist, for calling in. Have a great day, mate. We'll see you again tomorrow with a bit more. Lord Gilchrist, are you still there? Would you like to choose another topic? Yes. You get the honour and privilege. I mean, you've got a lot of that anyway as a lord, but you have the honour and privilege of choosing again because you called in.
Hey! Don't put my thread of having privilege.
Check your privilege, mate. Your privilege today here on the Iberian FM phone-in is to choose the subject for tomorrow. Have you got one?
Oh, yes. I was going to think, okay, we've kind of done the first 2 days this week. We've been a bit ranty about, the establishment and governance. So maybe let's bring it back to our collective level, and maybe something about, Portugal. No, you said Iberian or Iberian, or, I said Eurofluid, or,
I'll be on location tomorrow and broadcasting.
Where are you tomorrow? That might influence it.
Head Gardener Lee will be broadcasting from the site at Head Gardener Lee. So you want something a little bit more Portugal centric? Bring it back to the Iberian Peninsula.
I mean, let's kind of refocus what we were doing in Portugal. Maybe is a thing that we should look at. The Portugal in 2023. Maybe we should look at something like, how is the water levels going? Because this is supposed to be the month of 1,000 rains. So I haven't seen a single drop in April.
Okay, so preparing for the drought.
Yeah, well, let's kind of focus. It's easy to get carried away with everything else, but let's kind of focus it on Portugal. So, what's coming this year in Portugal? Maybe are we facing another water shortages? Is there going to be big fires this year? I suspect yes.
We will start with that. Okay, let's start with those. Yeah, those very close to home issues.
So something about let's focus about as it warms up. Let's focus on Portugal.
Okay, mate. Thank you for that. That's all for today.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.